Survivor Rites. Hello, hello. Another week has passed. There we are. Hi, everybody. Survivor Rites, welcome. This is not the show that we had originally planned for tonight, but Natalie is ill and we want her to get better very soon because she has a lot of important work to do. So she needs to nip this in the bud. But Mike Groseth has joined us at the last minute. And so we are going to just kind of have an informal chat tonight and see what questions you guys have out there for everybody. But we thought actually that, I guess I should say, because these two are going, Crystal, you get to do the talking.
Yeah.
That it would be a good conversation to have as a precursor to the suicide show that has been postponed to March 11th. Because a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight leads up to it's what happens to our bodies and our nervous system and our minds before we get to that point of crisis. So I do want to just let everybody know I'm going to put a trigger warning out there. We're going to be talking about a lot of really hard things tonight. We will be referencing CSA and suicide and mental health and lots of different aspects of it. But the goal of tonight really is to move everybody forward and to keep this conversation going. So our guest tonight, Cynthia needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. The woman, the myth, and the legend, private investigator who is not just in the 2x2 arena. Her specialty is child sexual abuse and sexual abuse, period, in trusted institutions. And that's what she has done for years as a living. And she does it on a national and global level. So the fact that she was born and raised in the 2x2s is why she's here with us. But she very much is a professional in her field. So we'll be referencing that a little bit. And Mike Groseth was born and raised multi-generations in 2x2s, has been a guest here before on a different subject, but kind of similar to what we're going to talk about tonight. And Mike is also an admin here on Survivor Rites. So I'm trying to reel him in case you can't tell. Because I just feel like your voice is so thoughtful and kind. And you are so compassionate, and I feel like you're very wise and intuitive. So all of those reasons, this is such an important dialogue, and it's hard to have. And as I told you last time, I'm going to say it again tonight. Guys. We need men to step up. We need men to start talking about the things we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to talk tonight about integration, and what that means really is how this whole happens. After you leave, it's the season kind of leaving. It's a period of time when your adrenaline starts to go down a little bit, because when we first leave, we're like, and it's then the know what, and then we get angry. We go through all these stages of grief. So we're going to talk a little bit about integration. Then we're going to talk about our nervous system and all of that relative to like all these unspoken questions and rules that we have lived by all these lives. So, Mike, I'm going to have you start tonight. How are things with you? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Very good. Very good. It's been, it's March already. Is that really real? Anyway, yeah, time's flying. And last weekend was my 1 year since I stopped having a meeting at my home. So it's kind of a big deal. Anyway, and stop going to meeting. But things are great. This is actually the integration side of this is actually a really timely thing, because this year, like after it, exactly how you explained it, it takes that cycle. We work through it, and it's coming around to a understanding joy. Maybe is starting to appear, and because there for a while it is the stages of grief, in and out of them. Like it's you don't just work through them, you go in and out and up and down and sideways and all these things. So yeah, it's good. It's good, and there's a lot to be thankful for. So
yeah.
And by the way, the introduction, extremely kind, and I'll pay you later or something. I don't know, whatever you need there.
I concur that That's all true about you, Mike.
Well, you're very sweet. Thank you.
Well, true.
It is
So.
true.
Yeah.
Cynthia,
Mhm.
oddly enough, we just did a worthy live together, and guess what we talked about? Joy. Literally the thing you just said, Mike. We were talking about how joy was just really not allowed. Like,
Yeah.
if it was fun, we didn't get to do it. And so to live in that joy now is so freeing, and so, but then there's guilt. So that's when we're going to talk about integration tonight, because you go through the anger and you go through all that,
Yep.
but then the guilt kicks in. And then the now what, like, am I being too selfish? We're going to talk through all those things. So, Cynthia, I want to hear from you. How are you? And what is happening in your world?
I'm good. I'm just working. It's working
like a crazy person.
Yep.
So we were just talking on the worthy, Mike, you'll have to catch up with us because we've been at it for an hour now. But about how the fire hose just doesn't stop, and we keep thinking that this is going to somehow simmer down and that the number of cases are going to stop continuing to be called in. That is not the case, correct, Cynthia?
Oh, yeah, and I'm they'll continue to come in for a long time.
Yes.
And there will be waves, and eventually it'll really slow down, but this is going to go on. I'll probably be dead.
Yeah.
There'll still be calls coming in because the survivors who are being abused today are not going to come forward until they're older. So,
right. So just want to put that, dispel the myth that's out there that this is no longer happening.
Yeah. I see people post every once in a while, like, oh, thankfully the abuse has stopped. No.
Right. Yeah.
No.
It hasn't.
No.
So just want to be super clear about that. So we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary, March 23rd. Wild that it's been 3 years. And so even for those of us that, so Cynthia and I have been out for a long, long time. Mike, you left. The majority of people that we're talking to and the majority of people here on Survivor Rites have only been out somewhere in the last 3 years. Some right away, some, even in the last 6 months, like everywhere, even in that window. So even if we're talking about that 3-year window, we still have people at all these different stages of the grief.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it, the post that we had here in Survivor a couple of weeks ago about why do we need all these X groups? And this really came right directly out of that whole conversation. Why do we need them? Because we didn't just leave a church that we went to on Sunday morning. We left our whole life, our families, and that's why this whole integration piece and the dysregulation that happens to our nervous system really, really kicks in. So we use the word deconstruction a lot. Where would you say in deconstruction is kind of hand in hand, like you do that at the same time the integration kind of starts? So just from a philosophical and psychological aspect, I just want to be very clear to everybody that that's how it happens. What are your thoughts on that? Where are you in that whole process that does that?
Yeah, it is ugly and it's messy because it's uncharted territory and it's hard. So yeah, like I think it was right about New Year's, and I was like, oh, I think I'm done. I think I'm done deconstruct. Like that's joy. Actually, I said it a couple different times, like in different places. Like 2026 is the year of joy. So like that was a thing that I realized, and it came to me, and everywhere I turned, it was people talking about the excitement, and now these aren't 2x2 people. These are people I was going to church with, or in community with, or associating with in other ways, in other all different walks. It kept recurring, and it was at that point that I was like, I think I can be done grieving this. Like I'm grieving the hurt, I'm grieving the pain, I'm grieving all that thing, and angry with all that. Still, that doesn't stop, but I can process. I can allow myself to have joy and have excitement about the future, because there for a while it was like, I don't know where you're paralyzed. Right. You get paralyzed with fear, and which is part of this whole thing. So, yeah, so I think it's really, everybody does it different. Like,
Yeah.
I think previously when we talked, Crystal, it was, you know, some people take everything off the shelf and leave it off and never put it back on, and never, like, they totally walk away from it all. It's
Mhm.
how they're dealing with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's just different. There's no, somebody just last week, I was talking to them about a thing going on, and they said, well, what do I do with this information? How do I, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, you got to figure this out. I mean, this is your walk, and I can't answer. Like, nobody can tell them. We're used to being told what to do. So this integration of learning how to do this out of our heart, for ourselves, with God, with not without God, whatever, however you find yourself, there's not a roadmap. Nobody's bossing you around telling you what to do.
That's
So
so interesting. Cynthia and
it's
I
hard.
just kind of had this conversation and worthy about, is it because, we survivor rights and now we're having this conversation on a regular basis? Is that like magnifying things? Is it making things harder for people? And is it bringing everything to the surface? Like, are we doing the right thing here and having all this conversation about it? Because it's a question. It's something that we live with and that we talk about and that we want very much to be doing it. I refer back to a comment Steve Padden made, which was that nobody's modeling healthy behavior. Nobody, like, if we're not the ones doing it, that's why I want different guests on a lot too. If we're not the ones doing it, who's going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Well, as Steve said it must be right too. That's
I know,
the other
right?
side of it.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
No, it's so accurate though.
Yeah. So Susie's actually out here saying some of us have been paralyzed for years because we didn't have community to get through it with. And
Yeah.
Brad Graves, walking by faith can be scary at first when you're used to having the roadmap and the checklist. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think just having did you guys have a chance today to see the conversation on there about righteous anger and having a place to have that dialogue?
I didn't.
So, she married actually a guy that I grew up with, and she's a close personal friend of mine. I won't call her out on it, even though I guess it's public. But we were having a conversation about that it would be a great place to have righteous anger. And because anger is one of the stages of grief. But then, and my response was, well, I'm going to need to think about this and how to handle that for a minute, because, we don't want to give them food for fodder on us being bitter at the same time. But that's then the secondary piece to that is I'm referring to ministry and really don't have a very good grasp of mental health. So that's a lot of the conversations that we have here is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, I don't have an answer yet on that because the question just popped up today.
Well, I mean, working on the child sex abuse stuff, I think something's wrong with you if you're not really pissed off. I mean, everybody should be so angry about what's happened, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
Concur.
And about a whole bunch of other things. I mean, you shared a letter with me this week, Crystal. I mean, the spiritual abuse that people have endured.
Right.
It's bad.
Crazy.
You should be very angry about it. It's not okay.
Can I also just point to that is there's so many things that we talk about as talking heads or whatever, that people point to, well, that happened a long time ago. These things are still going on today.
Absolutely.
Like the spiritual abuse, the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, all that. Trust me. Trust Cynthia. Don't trust me. Trust Cynthia.
Well, I mean, I shared a text with you today that just happened to somebody. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's the abuse, the layers of abuse are horrible. And this affects people's lives.
Yes.
Tremendously. It's shaping their lives. It's how they feel about themselves, because they're being told that they're not worthy, right, for certain things. So it's not good.
Which leads us right down the mental health catastrophe that is going on.
So that's actually, it probably is working out, like I said earlier, that this conversation is happening right before we have the suicide crisis conversation, because somebody made a comment back to me on somewhere that I posted. I think it was on exposing abuse a few weeks ago. That was I absolutely sure that anyone inside the church or associated with this church had taken their life. And
So many.
yeah, I
So
just
many.
invited them to watch this, and I think
Yeah.
that conversation is going to be eye-opening. But
Yeah.
what I also, Natalie and Cynthia and I were having a conversation this morning of just in preparation for what we were planning to do today, how heavy that reality is. And one of the things that we have talked about since I started Survivor Rights is that I feel so strongly that we needed to start having this dialogue, and that we needed to start not just bearing that weight on us because we're the ones that listen to people all day, every day, and help people all the time. That everybody needs to know that everybody, like, I'm not saying, I don't want to generalize everybody has depression or everybody has anything, but it's a massive issue. Mental health is a serious concern. And so I wanted to normalize. I don't want to normalize it either. What do I want to do? I want to be just really raise awareness
Yeah.
and give people tools
Mm-hmm.
to have this conversation out loud instead of
And
in their head at the middle of the night by themselves.
and as a group, we kind of have always needed permission to talk
Yes.
about some of these things, and we
Yes.
haven't had permission to talk about these. Like, I never felt that I couldn't talk to other people about depression. It's in my family. I've endured through my own issues with it. And so, but like, it was still kind of a hush hush, like just a pride part of it. And I think that's probably human in some ways. I don't know if that is necessarily all 2x2 thought process, but is definitely showing emotion is definitely a I mean, it's automatically a strike, right? Like, it's
Right.
not a normal thing that we do. So it leads us down the road of don't share your fears, your hopes, your dreams, your
Right.
concerns, your downs, your ups. You got to hold all that tight.
Yeah.
And that's the feeding part
Right.
that leads to some of this
Mhm.
depression stuff.
Yeah, I think about the workers, what you were just talking about, Mike. Like, who
Yeah.
do they talk to? Right? They can't talk to anybody.
There was, yeah, 100%. There was a it was a past worker that's left, and she was talking about it yesterday on a video, and she said, they weren't really encouraged to have friends, be friends with the congregation, with the friends,
Right.
but and even internally, like with the other workers, they weren't really, like, that wasn't really encouraged to be really close to the other workers.
In certain
Like,
ways.
yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, who knows? No, it's totally fine. That's fair. I don't know, there's a lot there, but
Yeah.
anyway, but the comment being that they're kind of discouraged from even having like a close relationship is concerning. And I think Steve Blueball has mentioned that a couple times in his writing too about that.
And even with their family, even with their own family.
Yeah.
Right.
So who do they have to talk to? I mean, what a prison to be in.
For sure. Sandra's saying we're labeled as bitter. How can we not be bitter about the abuse? Keep speaking the bitter truth. Yeah. So I basically have decided I don't care what, name calling is a childish thing. It's just what people do. 2x2s or not. Let them say whatever, call us whatever. It is what it is. Righteous anger is fair. And like,
yeah, I think so. But I do think, I think you can get stuck. I've seen it with people that I know, where they're bitter about how they were raised. They're bitter, and I'm sure, that's legit in cases. But it's
unfortunate.
It is, and I don't want that for people, right? I mean.
And that's what this conversation is about. That's the whole goal of having this dialogue, is that people would understand that they don't have to be angry anymore. Like, there's a whole big wide world out there, and we get to go enjoy every bit of it that we want. I made a little list today of the discussion things that we could just list. I'm just going to list them really quickly and move on past it because we have lots of other things to talk about. But Don't question authority. Don't be too confident. Don't trust your own discernment. Don't make waves. Don't outshine anyone. Don't admit doubt. Don't need too much. Don't be angry. Don't feel sexual. And don't be different. Like, that's just a short list of, like, that right off the top of your head, you're like, okay, you know, like, you know what that does to someone's nervous system?
Mhm.
We all know exactly what it does. Jillian Hishan from Australia, a worker at convention in 2024 in Australia, said that people who had mental health issues just needed to pray more, and he did not believe that mental health was a thing.
Wow.
So that goes back to the conversation, that the point that I made earlier, which is there is a general, they are ignorant of mental health. They do not understand. And a part of me keeps wanting to say, if they did understand, they would stop, because I wanted to believe that for years, for decades. But I don't think that anymore.
No, and
Now
what's
I
really
think,
scary, sorry, Crystal, what's really
no,
scary about that message is that if somebody takes that in, then they feel like something's really wrong with them for feeling the way they feel.
yes,
And then we get to suicide ideation, and
absolutely.
yeah, just a really
It's not a,
harmful message.
that's not a leap. That's a connection. Like,
Oh yeah.
like
Oh,
some
Yes.
things is we can look at and be like, well, that's a leap to get there, but
No.
no. And I got a little wound up Monday morning because somebody sent me a message. I think you got the same message, Cynthia, that it was spoken about this past Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact words now, but it was basically that you needed to have more harshness, more life needed to get harder in order for you to be more honest, for us to be more honest. And Steve Padden replied, well, that might be the case if somebody's dealing with addiction, that you have to hit rock bottom. But basically, you know, the more suffering we have on earth, the greater the rewards.
Oh, that was it. You have to
Yeah.
suffer.
To suffer, we needed to suffer more.
that's the Catholic self-flagellation
Absolutely.
thought process.
But to find
Absolutely.
honesty, I mean, that was the message, right? You had
Right.
to
Doesn't make
suffer
sense.
more to find honesty, or
Yes.
yeah. So it was super
Ridiculous.
harmful messages.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Mhm.
Mardell is saying how sad it is that the workers have been separated from family relationships. And yeah, that whole, we're going to have a lot of conversations, I think, this year about workers in general, because just, I feel a very strong calling to help them, even the ones that are in. Like, if this could be a public place that they could come to and know that they have support, even if it's just to know that we care, that somebody knows how hard it is and is willing to acknowledge that for them. But whatever we need to do, I don't know. I don't have an answer for all that yet either, but it's definitely mulling around up here. Susie's saying we used to whisper undiagnosed. We used to whisper a lot of things in that kitchen, didn't we? Yeah. So let's be very clear. We've identified the problem. We all know what it is. We all know how it feels. We all know that we lay awake sometimes and think, oh, like, you know, that self-deprecation, all of it that puts many to the point of the suicidal ideation that we were just discussing, and or just total depression, numbness. Like, that affects every area of their life. Every area. Parenting, which is, we're going to talk a lot about this summer. I have it on the summer schedule for parenting. It affects your mental health. It's like you go home and kick the dog. It's the same thing. You go home and kick your kids. Or Cynthia and I were talking earlier, I hate referencing that constantly, sorry. But that she started out parenting and realized, oh, I don't want to be this kind of parent. It changes when your heart changes and you realize that you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to be, it's just a completely different, I don't know, mindset, I guess is the best way to put it. But so integration and the nervous system. Let's talk for just a second. What our body does, what happens to us when we Take all that in, take it 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 in. Do you guys know? Because otherwise I'll answer.
You
I
go
would love to
right.
hear.
You go right ahead.
The nervous system is our body's, it's like we all grew up canning, right? We all know how the pressure cooker works. The nervous system is our pressure cooker. It's exactly that same thing. It is the body's safety system. It is where we get the four things. We get the fight, the flight, the freeze, and the fawn. That is where all of that comes from. It's that gut reaction. It's that intuition. The nervous system is what regulates all of it. And it really, really does. So in fight, when we are feeling like, that's where the anger, the defensiveness, the intensity comes from. And that's where that whole, like, I'm going to fight this and I will never be controlled again. And that's fair in a lot of cases, but nobody wants to get stuck there. So then that goes to flight, which is the anxiety piece of it. And we overwork and we get restless and we have all kinds of, we overwork is our problem because we're performers. Do you guys know anybody that's a 2x2 that's lazy?
Oh yeah.
Your kids, maybe? No, I'm kidding.
No, but I got a couple of names in mind. Sorry. I'm not going to say them out loud, but yeah.
Not a lot though. Like most of us are like choppity chop chop, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know a few too, if I'm honest.
I may be being snarky at the moment too.
It's okay.
I picked up what you're putting.
You know what? Here's the thing. I would rather have somebody say it to my face than the way we grew up. I would rather have somebody look me in the eye and be like, you are a lazy piece of whatever, than behind my back be like, oh, what, that's healthy. Telling somebody that they're being whatever they're being directly, as long as your intentions aren't to hurt them. And one of my greatest mentors on earth taught me, say what you mean what you say, don't say it mean.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say, you're slacking a little bit without being like, you lazy piece of blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. There's a way to say it. Yeah. Okay. That's the flight. Then there's the freeze. And this is where I think a lot of people are stuck, is in that numb depression that happens. I feel like that is like that stage of just, I struggle to get up in the morning. I struggle to shower. I struggle to go to work. I struggle to do whatever, but that's a very, and a lot of dissociation happens there of just like, I don't even know how I feel and I don't really even care anymore. And then the last one is the fawn, and that's the whole people pleasing. Like we have so much people pleasing in our DNA. I swear it's in our DNA, which is ridiculous.
Can we talk about a couple of these? Like, what do they look like in real life?
Yep.
Because I think that's, I mean, I started in fight. I was teed off. I mean, I was extremely angry and ready to draw blood. And, so I can really enter into this whole cycle, except for the fawn. I've always been a people pleaser. Like I mean, legit. So that's in my nature. And I think you're right. That is in our DNA, especially like our job is to serve and to take care, like not serve the world, but serve the internals and the workers and the convention and, kind of take care of the internal group. But like the fight and flight and the freeze, specifically the freeze for me was one of the hardest steps because, and I see it on a daily basis talking to people, is like, what do we do now? What do we do? Like we're kind of on the fence. We're ready to go, but what are we going to do? Because they're not lazy, because I know these people very well. They're saying, I know I'm lazy. I won't read. I won't do this. I won't do this. I won't have a relationship with God. I need meetings. I need the structure. And they're frozen in that spot where they're afraid to move. And my answer is like, you got to work at it.
Yeah.
Like anyway, we could go scriptural, but we'll keep this not scriptural really, because in anything, like when we don't know if something's going on in our life and we don't know what to do with it, sitting and waiting for something to happen is generally not a good plan.
Right.
So like it takes us to maybe go a little uncomfortable or to get out of our comfort zone. That's what Steve was talking about a couple weeks ago. Like to move forward a little bit or move sideways even. It doesn't even have to be, or move backwards. That's fine. But anyway, but it takes effort. And that's the hard part because we don't really want to, especially when we're in that mode where we're numb. We're down. We're not happy. It's not a good place to be. And our bodies and our minds are going, I don't know. I can't do anything. I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And then we say, and now I'm going to do something for myself, which is frowned on.
Right.
Like, which is what we've been told not to do really, is because that's selfish. So there's so much deep indoctrination, unintentional that happens. I mean, from like my family, I grew up in an awesome home, but there's still this there was just a belief system that was passed through that you don't talk about these certain things and you don't do this and you don't do that. It was not to put me in a worse place. It was to put me in a better place. And that was the intention. But the reality of it is we get affected by it.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, if you step away, you're a huge disappointment to the people around you. Right. So that right there can affect your mental health out of the gate. And then I don't, Crystal, you and I haven't really talked about what we kind of went through when we left, but didn't have anybody to talk to about it. Right. Mm-hmm. So I just lived in this terrified state for a couple of years. Once I left for good, because I went back a couple times like you did for short stints. But then when I left for good, I was just terrified.
I was too.
You're in your own head, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to learn how to move forward.
Yeah. And I think that's where the unfortunate, like I say all the time, I was so lucky. I literally had people that, I mean, the night that I was done and decided that not living was better than living, my professor from college literally came and found me because I didn't show up for class. Had he not come looking for me, I don't know that I would be sitting here right now. He got me the care, and him and his wife were like parents to me until he passed away. And I go back home and I go see his wife, and that was 1989. I was 1989. And we just were like family, because and then Glenn and Marilyn, who were also a huge part of my therapy, and Marilyn's in this group, and also in Worthy, but they finally got to meet both people who saved my life. So yeah, and maybe other people don't have those people. I think that's why I have such an urgency to pay this back, is people taught me, people were there and said, read this book, go here, do that, and without people to do that, I don't know. I unfortunately talked to so many women through Worthy, knowing they don't work outside the home. Many of them have never, or they do, but very rarely. They don't really have a social network, or, and they're retired. They're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old leaving. And they're trying to figure this out. Like, they don't have a social structure. Somebody to say, hey. So anyway, I don't know that we have all the answers either. We don't. I know we don't.
No.
Even if Natalie's sitting, but I think together as a community, we have a lot of experience and we have a lot of expertise and we have a lot of people who can step up. We're just trying to give them a pathway to do that.
It's awesome. And it's amazing because even your story you just told, Crystal, like there are so many things. So the church I've been going to has been talking a lot. They're big on giving to the community and helping and serving others and being present for other people. And what you just explained was somebody didn't have to do anything, right? They didn't owe anybody anything to do that, and yet they were willing to do that, and they saved you.
Mhm.
And like more than probably maybe more than they know even maybe
Oh, he
knew at the
He
time.
knew.
Okay, good, and that's awesome. But like, what can I do? This is where I've been at. Is what can I do now to not so much go out and, I mean, I want to be available. That's one of the things for people to come to me and be hopefully not too harsh because I get a little fired up, but like be available for people. But then even outside of this whole thing, like there's a ton of people that need help here, but there's also my neighbor next door might need something that maybe I could help them, or there's so many things we can do to serve that we've never. I use we as the ones of us, the thousands of us that are walking away now, as people that are like, we've never learned how to do that. We've never learned the giving portion. If it's not showing up at gospel meeting, making it into funerals, going to convention, being present, having the workers in your home. That was our giving.
Yeah.
Giving money to the workers. But helping someone who is in a place of crisis has been foreign. It's not been on my radar. I can't speak for everybody. It's not been on my radar. And I have my own little guilt thing that I'm going through on this because of that. Right. Because that's a huge calling that we all are called to in some form. It might not mean you take somebody into your house. It might just mean you check on them and take them, just like make sure they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
But a simple phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I check on people all the time, all day, every day.
I believe it.
And so that's a lot of it. Like, we made the choice to do this publicly, and there was a lot of discussion around that, but I was pretty clear about that from the beginning. And again, I just want to say, for me personally, is because my life experience, my shame started to lose its hold when I started speaking my truth. When I stopped minimizing what happened to me, and when I got just, this is what happened. And then I didn't have to be afraid anymore. I remember just being afraid to go, like, what if I see him at the gas station, or what, like, the whole feeling that we have of you're going to see somebody at the grocery store and they're going to turn their cart and go. But then it was like, I literally physically moved from where I was living a state away so that I wouldn't have to, because I was that scared. I had not gone public at all yet. Did not go public till I was 27. And I was 23. I moved to Ohio so that I could not have to be afraid all day, every day that I would see them somewhere. And I just, when I can remember how that felt for me, and I just want anybody out there that's listening to know that they're not alone if that's how they feel. And that kind of just dread and that kind of just anxiety, all of it, like it just stunts you. And, I don't want anybody to stay stuck there. Same as you, Cynthia.
Mm-hmm.
But you and, we've been out a lot longer, so we know what it takes to get down the road. And it, even 3 years, that's not very long.
No.
For a lot of people, it's not very long. Did you want to keep talking about the integration piece of those stages, Mike? Or do you
it's okay. It was just like, there were things that when you were going through them, I was like, oh yeah, I recognize this. I feel this right now. Like and you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I made a note earlier when we were looking at these notes here, and integration is a slow process of your body catching up to your decisions, which I thought was, admittedly, I think I stole it from somebody else, but I'm going to take credit for it. It's a really good line. Anyway, no, it's kind of but we tend to want to push past things really fast.
Yes.
And I think the point to a lot of this is it's not a race. And like some people, I mean, I was super fast going into other churches and looking at other things. Like some people I was talking to was like, really already? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in. I can't set it home. But so like for me, the integration, the getting through some of this stuff was really fast. Other people take years, and that's okay. And part of that is the mental side of it is to give yourself permission to do that.
Right.
You know,
Well, there's a lot of fear of being duped again, and there's fear
yeah.
of that whole we have trust issues. I mean, I don't know very many people that come out of this that don't have some serious trust issues, and that affects relationship, all relationship, business, all of it. It's like because you start second guessing yourself, and that's I think where it starts. It's just like, well, how do I know that they're telling the truth? I thought that these people were good in telling the truth all these years, and that's a real struggle. Jeannie Klebe is saying, if you delete Sunday, Wednesday, and things within your church structure, how do people know you are a Christian? It's the love we show others who don't look and act believe like us. It's the love. We say that a lot. Yes, we will keep saying that. So some of the other things that come out and symptoms that start happening, and this is a lot of what leads to the suicidal ideation, is the hypervigilance. A lot of us are just constantly monitoring to make sure everything's perfect. We're so used to like kids sitting in a certain way and looking a certain way. And so it's just this vigilance that we grew up with that we are like, we need to look perfect all the time, but then we fall apart, in private. And so, but that whole worthiness piece, all of it comes in that hypervigilance part. Fear-based compliance, I will say that's the people pleasing, saying yes when we really mean no. I spend so much time talking about saying yes when we really mean no, and that the truth lies in the anticipation. And you can always change your mind. If you said yes and you meant no, you can always go back and say, you know what, I thought about this, and I really need to say, I need to reframe that, or I need to adjust or renegotiate, whatever you need to do. Suppressed anger. Guess what happens to suppressed anger? Mike, you probably know that answer.
Well, as a man, we suppress a lot of anger a lot of times, and then it explodes eventually. That's for men. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but
that's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I mean, that's the standard. I was just having a conversation with a guy that works with me about this exact thing and how we, as men, don't know how to express ourselves and our anger very well. And Steve Vandermine and I were talking about this last week, and just like the fact that we don't know how to communicate as men in general, men coming out of this church, this cult, it has no clue how to communicate, especially anger.
Steve has committed to being on the Sunday show once a month, just for that specific topic. Perfect. Of communication skills. I mean, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but yeah.
He's awesome.
The other one is chronic guilt. So how many of us live with just that guilt of, even if you do say no, then whatever, it's just guilt comes immediately on the heels of all of it. And then also fear of eternal consequence. So whether they go to church or don't go to church, I mean, if you read a lot of the posts that people have made on all the sites, and a lot of what ends up happening on the suicidal ideation, which we're going to talk about when we talk with Natalie, is the fear of not going to heaven. But people who, like you said earlier, Mike, they just flipped that switch and said, oh, I'm out and I'm going to move on and life goes on, blah, blah, blah. But they're coming back now 20, 30, and 40 years later saying, but I've always been afraid of eternal damnation, and now I want to deal with this.
Yeah. Well, we suppress things. I mean, that's...
Well, because we don't have any tools to communicate our needs or our feelings or any of it. And if we question anything, we're labeled. So I just want to be very, very clear that our body, literally our nervous system, our body, this is what happens to you. Like when I talk about in my own personal life, I know for sure that my breast cancer and my skin cancer came directly from, it is an energetic breakdown of my nervous system, because safety equals obedience and belonging equals self-silencing. It means I need to belong. Our need to belong is so much greater. And so we lose our individuality, and that happens in so many cults, so many fundamental churches. But I just want to be very clear for people that is what happens to your body and your nervous system. And then it starts short-circuiting, and that's how we start getting so far gone that coming back mentally and physically is very, very hard. So I wanted to just talk through some signs to just kind of help people be aware of maybe where they're at. So survival mode. Survival mode is where they were. That's what happens when you first leave. You just got to get through it. You got to live. If I survive walking away from the 2x2 church, that window is called survival mode. What happens in that window, Mike?
A lot of sleepless nights and a lot of tears.
Yep.
That was, I mean, I think I'm not that unusual according to other people too. So yeah, it's fear and just constant questioning. What am I doing? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of lost sleep. And the fear of just being wrong. What if I made a mistake is such a huge part of that survival mode. So if you're still in that, if your mind is still playing all those tricks on you, you might still be in survival mode. So you might want to do some research and Google, like, what is survival mode and how do I get out of it? That would be a great place to even just be aware of the fact that that's probably maybe where you're at. Then
the good news, Crystal, is I've only been in survival mode 32 times. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Yeah, it gets better.
And I think that we all kind of have that. I think, I've talked to people who've been out longer than I have, and it's like, they still have moments of it. We do. I think it's just something that we are going to have to deal with the rest of our lives. And that's why so many of us say, oh, well, if they've never experienced it, they can't possibly understand. Well, there's some truth to that. Unless they've experienced something very, very similar of being in a cult-like mentality or such a closed society that you're literally everything about your entire life is controlled. Everything about your life. It is not the same as going to a church or being in a whatever. It's not the same. It's not the same. Suppressed anger results in every form of physical and mental illness. Yes, it does. The pressure cooker that hasn't blown up but totally turns the food to mush. Yep. Carrie's saying mine was actually a lot of sleep and shut down. That's the other thing that happens is you either don't sleep or you need a lot of sleep. Like for me, that window of time, I did exactly what you're doing, Carrie. I did was like, sleep is my friend. Yep. Sleep is my friend. And it really did. Brad Graves is saying I had no questioning about whether my decision was right or not. My big question was, what now? Yeah. That's a big one. So then the regulation, we talk a lot about, I just also want to give people language, because I think that we talk about stuff that maybe it's like, I don't even know what she's talking about when she says regulation. So regulation is just what happens in response to your nervous system is learning how to regulate your body and how to say, I'm out of, my system is going wonky. My heart's racing. I'm not breathing very well. So learning how to re-regulate yourself, or to just not feel like you're just in constant crisis. So a lot of that, you can do breathing exercises. There's Natalie's going to teach a class on this whole thing at some point, but really learning how to rest without guilt, like taking breaks and stepping back, saying no, renegotiating. There's so many things that you can do to just kind of start. It's just, maybe another way to say it would be what? Listening to your body, Cynthia? What would you say?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen to your body. With the internet now, you can look anything up or go to a bookstore and get a book, but there's so many tools out there
Yes.
for regulating your system. I really didn't know very much about it until this whole crisis started, and Lauren was actually amazing at knowing some of those tools and teaching people.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of resources out there if you're going through that.
There really are. And, there's also a lot of addictions that we can fall into in that too. So it's, you popped right up there, Mike.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. I get it.
Yeah, but it like drinking too much, smoking, all the things that we never got to do. That's another thing. It's a trap for people.
Yep.
And it's so easy to fall into that. And then it gets comfortable. And comfort is something, here's the other point that I really wanted to make tonight. We don't even know what comfort feels like. I don't think that any of us ever have had such a regulated nervous system that we can, where our whole body and our mind and everything can just completely relax and just be like, unless we know for sure we're like in another country and nobody knows us and nobody's going to see us. And we've gone to great lengths to make sure that we're in a situation that nobody's ever going to find out, that maybe then we can go, can have a cocktail on vacation or whatever it is. But I don't think we grew up doing that. So our whole system is like this constantly for years, decades. And so then the first thing we fall into is the trap of drinking too much, eating too much, all the too muches of, it's comfort, because comfort is like the essence of what we crave. And it feels so good to be comfortable. I can't wait to get home some days and get my sweatpants on and take the bra off and all the, like we crave it. Humans crave comfort. Yeah. Comfort food, comfort everything. And without it, so
comfort and control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Comfort and control. Because if we don't feel like we're in control, then we crave more of whatever's bringing us the comfort, which is why I'm 30 pounds overweight. Well, more than that, but I need to lose 30 pounds. And anyway, but addictions creep in no matter what they are. So my head popped up when you mentioned addictions, because I think it's a massive, massive thing, not just for us, but for so many people that are trying to figure out how to regulate, how to self-regulate.
Well, another sad fact is that there are a lot of people within the 2x2 system who do have addictions, but none of it's talked about.
Yeah.
So people are trying to deal with these, their families know, some people's families know, right? You can't hide drug and alcohol addiction totally. But there are,
is huge.
Yeah. So there's a lot of addiction behavior within the system, and nobody talks about it. That's actually why I did a red box on Brother Worker. Oh, I can't even remember his name. But
so many of them.
Yeah, but he had a sexual harassment allegation from when he was in the work, and then of course the sister worker leaves and he's still in. But he has been arrested for substance, for DUI, right? And to me, it's so sad that it's such a secret. Instead of getting him the help that he needs, it's all swept under the rug and nobody talks about it.
What you just said is exactly why we have a suicidal crisis, and nobody wants to talk
Yeah.
about that either. But
Yeah.
you just nailed it. Instead of getting on any of these issues, instead of getting them the help that they need, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I did the box on that particular one. To me, it's really sad that that stuff's not addressed. And so then that person lives in that prison, right? All by themselves. I
Yeah.
mean, with no help.
Right.
So,
Not much love in that, is there?
no.
And back to what you made a comment earlier, Mike, about that they did it for good intention, and it's true. But and I say this, one of my elders growing up, I've said this before, I'm going to say it one more time, used to say to me when I was a little girl, Crystal, the sooner you learn to stop smiling so much, the better off you're going to be. He said it with good intentions. He
Mhm.
How
meant
sad.
it to help me because I have a smile that lights like and I just naturally am a happy person in general, except for when I'm not. But that was something said with such good intention on his part, like as a woman in the 2x2 church, as a like all of it. And I can hear it because he said it over and over, and I can feel it, I can see it. It's just like ingrained. It was one of the earliest things that I had to do, but it was, again, they have good intentions. They had good intentions, but guess what that does to a person?
Stay in
Like,
your
that's just a
place.
little thing.
Know your place. Stay in your place. Don't be too much.
Yeah, don't smile.
Yeah, don't smile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, like, it seems ridiculous to the world, but it wasn't ridiculous at the time.
Yeah. How old were you?
I would have been like 8 or 9 when I
Wow.
started. Yeah,
Wow.
very young.
Yeah.
Very young. We are almost out of time, so I want to give people requests for questions. Daryl's saying he would get requests for narcotics from meetings people who were not patients of mine, for example. Not very often, but not infrequently either. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah. No, it's a problem.
it's a very real problem. And so I want
Yeah.
to say that we should probably put that on the list for another.
And it's a human condition. I mean,
Yes.
just talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm struck again with how naive I was.
Right.
I mean, truly, like, I'm like, seriously, this was a thing. Yeah. I mean, I believe it, but anyway.
But they don't. That's why we're going to keep talking about it. Whether they do or they don't. I don't care if they do or don't anymore.
Mhm.
No, it doesn't matter.
This conversation has to be had. It must be had.
Well, it'll matter to the person that has the problem that needs help.
Yes.
Right.
That's really all that matters.
Yes. We just need to make sure that people know. And you can reach out to any of us privately. We all talk with one another across platforms on, there's a lot of people who love and care and are not going to judge and are just going to get you the help that you need.
Yeah, and I mean, there's we've worked over the last few years to get people into treatment. That is a component of complex PTSD and being a survivor, and so there is help out there.
Yes,
for those situations.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to call, reach out.
All of the above. Next week, our Daryl Johnson, dentist, who's saying about the narcotics, is our speaker next week. So that will be good. Does anybody have any questions that you guys want to ask before we wrap this up for tonight? Because we could go on, and we have like 2 more pages of stuff that we didn't get to. But I always give last word to the guests. And so is there anything else that we really need to say? Oh, I did want to, these few things I did want to make sure of breathing. Just if you're in a panic mode, to just stop and be aware of your breath, and just one breath at a time, in and out. Another one is putting cold water on your wrists or on your face, or cold water somehow, to just, because what that does is it startles your nervous system in a way that makes it feel like it's alive for just that second. It's just shocking. So cold, also stepping outside, anything where you can see and do and moving your body. So it's when you're, you know, so doing those things. Not getting any questions, so we're going to go with last word to each of you. And Mike, if you want to start, we're going to go. I want to thank you both for being here, for caring as much as I know you both do. So many other people out there watching today care so much. It's going to take an army. I used to say it's going to take a village. It's going to take an army of all of us out here having this conversation, being willing to be this honest, and just whatever it takes, that's what we've got to do. So thank you, Mike, for last minute stepping up tonight. Appreciate it very much. Floor is yours.
Well, I'm no I'm no Dr. Bolin, so I thanks for having me on. But yeah, I guess the only thing I would say is, like, thinking through these things, give yourself permission. It's we haven't known how to do that. We haven't learned how to do that. So give yourself permission to be scared. Give yourself permission to take tough steps. To give yourself permission to love, to be excited about things. Like, those are important parts of this whole thing, life, that I mean, some of us, maybe some people are like, well, that doesn't apply, but to a lot of people, that's a hard thing. And that comes with my background, understanding and experience of depression and anxiety. That is part of it, where you didn't have the ability to do that, for multiple reasons. But anyway, love yourself. That doesn't mean you don't love God. It just means you're loving yourself because God loves you.
Yeah. Cynthia?
Well, I'll just reiterate what I just said, that I think it's great that you've started these conversations, Crystal. These are open conversations. This is a public site. And so maybe for the first time ever, people can enter into a conversation. If more people would step up and be on camera, right? I'm no expert. I just know that survivors deal with a lot. I've watched it for a lot of years. And so this is a place where things can be more normalized, because you are not allowed to discuss these things in the 2x2 system. So you have normal human conditions that everybody else in the world has too, and there's help. Let's talk about it. So keep the conversation going, Crystal. I think it's great that you're having these conversations.
There is help, and that's the goal. Today's whole goal of this whole conversation is to just for people to understand integration, what it means, and that it comes after, that it's a process. And just if we can have language around it, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Keep having these conversations. Sarah's asking, what was the quote about silence in prison? Mike, if you could repeat that. Or was that you?
Did I say that?
That was me earlier. Silence turns trauma into a prison cell.
Yeah.
Silence turns trauma into a prison cell. Yep. Let's just get out those keys so we can unlock those cells. That's the goal. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for everyone out there. If you guys will monitor comments, if anybody has questions, please, again, I just want to encourage anybody that needs direct assistance to reach out to one of us personally. We are more than happy. We all know what you need to do to get you where you need to go. And we would encourage you to do that. If call 988 if you are having suicidal ideation at this moment or need some help, I would encourage you to reach out. So thank you, everyone, and so much love to everybody. Have a great, great night.
Thank you.